Hi there, you're watching Trending at 10 with me, Sanket Upadhyay. After the Howdy Modi event on Sunday, the real business begins now. Those pictures that you see on your screen right now. US President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi meet in New York for a bilateral meeting. On the agenda, in fact, a whole host of issues related to trade and energy. It will be interesting to see what they say on these issues as well as other important and sticky issues, controversial issues. Trump's controversial position on Kashmir mediation and his position on Pakistan. You would recall that a day after the Howdy event, Trump played to the gallery in a meet with Imran Khan, where he said that his comment on terrorism was in connection with Iran and not Pakistan. So what exactly is going to transpire between these two leaders? It's an entire delegation that is meeting with these two leaders at the center stage. All right, let me just introduce our guest this evening as we wait for a video of the still image that we are getting you at this moment. Hopefully they'll be answering some questions as well. There you have it, those pictures now on the screen of the bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well as US President Donald Trump.
Even completed 4 months, but during this period of time I've had the occasion to meet President Trump 3 times now, and we've had very detailed and fruitful discussions on many issues. In the world, between the oldest and the largest democracy, this kind of nearness, these relationship of ease and this continuous engagement, I think countries coming together which believe in democratic values, I think that's a very good sign for the world. For India and the United States, not only are we very close friends, but this is a friendship that is based on values, and this will continue to strengthen in the times to come. As far as trade is concerned, I'm very happy that day before yesterday in Houston, in my presence, there was an agreement signed by the Indian company Petronet for an amount of $2.5 billion, which is the amount of investment that the Indian company is going to do in the energy sector. And this will mean that in the years to come, in the decades to come, this will result in trade of an amount of $60 billion and create 50,000 jobs, which I think is a very big initiative taken by India. President Trump is definitely my friend, but he is also a friend of India. And relations between India and the United States are proceeding at a very good and fast pace. Once again, let me thank President Trump.
Mr. President, you've mentioned President Trump. You've mentioned trade, and Prime Minister Modi had during the Houston event said that you know the art of the deal. Can we expect something on a trade deal in talks today, or what the U.S. and India can do together to boost trade ties going forward?
Well, I think very soon. We're doing very well, and Bob Lighthizer, who's right here, is negotiating with India, and they're very capable representatives. And I think very soon we'll have a trade deal. We'll have the larger deal down the road a little bit, but we will have a trade deal very soon.
Mr. Trump, Houston, you said about, you've been talking about, clamping down on terrorism from across the globe. Pakistan has been the global epicenter of terrorism, sir. You've spoke about it in Houston. How do you make sure that you clamp down on terrorism from Pakistan? Because that is posing threat to democracies like the US and India. Even the business interests suffer because of continuing terrorism.
Well, I had a very good meeting with Prime Minister Khan. It was a long meeting, and we discussed a lot. And I think he'd like to see happen that would be very fruitful, very peaceful. And I think that will happen ultimately. I really believe that these two great gentlemen will get together and work something. I also, you mentioned Pakistan, but Iran would have to be at the top of the list, because if you look at terrorist states, that's been the #1 for a long time. But I really believe that Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Khan, they get along. They will get along when they get to know each other, and I think a lot of good things will come from that meeting.
President Trump, this is the most
Few
spectacular.
months back, Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan admitted that 40,000 of terrorists are still in Pakistan. And yesterday at a think tank event, he again admitted that Pakistan Army and ISI trained Al-Qaeda. Separately, there are reports that thousands of terrorists are ready to infiltrate into India. In this backdrop, what you would like to give message to Pakistan?
Well, I mean, the message is not for me to give, it's for Prime Minister Modi to give, and I think he gave that loud and clear on the other day when we were together. He gave a pretty loud message, and I'm sure he'll be able to handle that situation. Yes,
President Trump, this is the spectacular show you had with Prime Minister Modi in Houston. What is the significance of this event for India-US relations and your personal chemistry with Prime Minister
Well,
Modi?
my personal chemistry is as good as it can get. I have great respect, I have great admiration, and I really like him. That's another thing. And he's a great gentleman and a great leader. And I remember India before, now not intimately, but I remember India before, and it was very torn. There was a lot of dissension, a lot of fighting, and he brought it all together. Like a father would bring it together. And maybe he's the father of India. We'll call him the father of India. I think that's not so bad. But he brought things together, and you don't hear that anymore. So I think he's done a fantastic job. And I think that what the event showed is how much I like the country of India and how much I like your Prime Minister. There was tremendous spirit in that room, too. And they love this gentleman to my right. They really do. Those people went crazy. That was like Elvis. That was like he's like an American version of Elvis. It was like we brought in the middle of an all-American deal. Elvis Presley came back. That was quite something. They love your Prime Minister. It's a great thing.
Mr. President Trump, Mr. President, in Houston, you said that you stand with India in fight against Islamic radical terrorism. How do you see the statement coming from the Pakistani Prime Minister admitting that the Pakistani state, the ISI, trained Al-Qaeda? How do you see
and
how do you feel?
I haven't heard that, and I know this, that your Prime Minister will take care of it.
Sir, is there a roadmap to deal with radical Islamic terror, sir?
It would be great if they could work out something on Kashmir. We all want to see that, I'm sure.
But isn't terror a bigger issue, sir? Pakistan state-sponsored terror. Is there a roadmap to deal with Pakistan state-sponsored terror?
Reporters. I wish I had reporters like this. You're doing better than anybody I've ever heard. Where do you find these reporters? This is a great thing. No, look, you have a great Prime Minister. He'll solve the problem. I have no doubt about it. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, just ahead of that bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Modi as well as President Trump, both leaders taking a few questions. A lot of questions being posed to Donald Trump to clarify his position vis-a-vis Pakistan. A bulk of those questions, even the one asked by NDTV's Uma Shankar Singh, where he asked a categorical question on an admission by Pakistan that they have terrorists on their soil. They have terrorist organizations operating from their soil. State-sponsored terrorism on Pakistani soil, to which President Trump says that he would expect that the two leaders sit down and solve this problem. This is significant in terms of reiterating India's official position. What is really going to come out post these talks is going to be very, very significant, because Trump played to the gallery when he was meeting with Imran Khan. He's saying something right now. How much of this can actually be taken at face value? Let me now quickly put this across to our guest this evening. Surya Pratap Singh is a former IAS and a foreign affairs expert. I also have Anand Ahuja. He's a Trump supporter, attorney at law, co-founder of the Indian Americans for Trump. Thank you very much to the both of you. Mr. Ahuja, let me begin with you. You're a Trump supporter. Do you think that this criticism is going to stay with Donald Trump, that he's not been able to make his position or articulate his position clearly vis-a-vis Pakistan? He said something else in the presence of Imran Khan, saying something else today.
If you see President Trump, when he was a candidate in 2015 for this election, he had made it very clear at that time that Pakistan is a harbinger of terrorism. And if you see the United States Department of State's report, there are approximately 175 terrorist camps right now operating from the soil of Pakistan. The statement President Trump made yesterday, emphasizing on terrorism coming from Iran and emphasizing on the fact that he's more concerned about Iran, you have to take into consideration two factors. Number one, the geopolitical situation in that subcontinent, in that particular area. Trump still needs Pakistan's help in Afghanistan. We should not forget about that. Secondly, recent events, Iran's having a drone attack on Saudi Arabia, and that has raised another issues. And for that also, USA needs Pakistan's help to tackle that particular situation. So again, and the third aspect you have to take into consideration that Trump is a businessman. He has business interest in India. He has a Trump Towers in India. And even after when he is not president of the United States, his business interest will still be there in India. So just because yesterday in a press conference, Trump was not strong enough to criticize Pakistan, that doesn't mean that Trump does not like India or Trump is going to favor Pakistan over India.
Okay, interesting. Interesting. Mr. Ahuja, do stay on with us. I have with me Mr. Michael Kugelman, also Deputy Director and Senior Associate for South Asia Program at the Wilson Center. Michael, my question to you over here is about trade. Now, obviously, that is what binds this relationship and strengthens this relationship between India and the United States. Do you think, and through the course of this broadcast since Sunday, we've been wondering whether leveraging deals on trade, these two leaders may end up using, the various aspects of their relationship. For instance, Trump's dilly-dallying position on mediation. He's never come clean on whether, as to why he's trying to offer mediation when India has very clearly said they don't want it. Perhaps to pressurize India?
Well, I think that it's going to be very difficult to get a strong trade deal between these two countries. I mean, as the reports that are coming out now is that there probably will be some type of agreement, but one that's watered down and not as strong as perhaps had been hoped for before. And that's not that much of a surprise. I would argue that, yes, trade has been helpful in this relationship, but trade has really been a key source of tensions in this relationship, particularly over the last few months. And for President Trump, trade is a signature political issue. It's a big part of the whole Make America Great thing. And, that, especially with the election coming up next year, he and his administration are not going to give easily. They're not going to be willing to compromise on trade issues. So I think that even with a partner with like India, it's going to be very difficult to get a really strong trade accord. So I think that any agreement that does emerge should be seen as a good thing. And certainly for the purposes of the U.S.-India relationship, where security has long been the main area where there's been the most strength. So to get this type of trade deal now, even if it's watered down, I think that would be a very good thing for the relationship.
Okay. Surya Pratap Singh, would you like to take that question? My question here was that there is a trade deal which is inevitable. It's going to happen between these two countries. All right. The Prime Minister is speaking as of this moment. I'll come back to you.
हमारी नई सरकार बनने के बाद अभी 4 महीने भी नहीं हुए हैं, लेकिन मुझे राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप के साथ 3 बार मिलकर के अनेक विषयों पर बातचीत करने का अवसर मिला है। दुनिया का सबसे पुराना लोकतंत्र और दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा लोकतंत्र, इसके बीच इस प्रकार की निकटता, सहजता और लगातार एंगेजमेंट, ये लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों में विश्वास करने वाले विश्व के लिए एक बहुत ही शुभ संकेत है। भारत, अमेरिका बहुत ही घनिष्ठ मित्र हैं और मूल्यों के आधार पर हमारी मित्रता हमेशा आगे बढ़ती चली जा रही है। जहां तक ट्रेड का सवाल है, मुझे खुशी है कि मैं जब परसों ह्यूस्टन में था तो हमारे पेट्रोनेट ने वहां पर $2.5 बिलियन के इन्वेस्टमेंट के साथ एनर्जी सेक्टर में इन्वेस्टमेंट का एमओयू किया है और उसका परिणाम ये होगा कि आने वाले कुछ दशक में करीब $60 बिलियन का ट्रेड और करीब 50,000 लोगों के लिए जॉब। तो अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा इनिशिएटिव भारत ने लिया है। राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप मेरे तो मित्र है ही है, लेकिन भारत के बहुत एक अच्छे मित्र के रूप में आज भारत और अमेरिका बहुत तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं और मैं राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप का फिर से एक बार धन्यवाद करता हूं।
First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to President Trump that he was with me in Houston day before yesterday. He took out time from his busy schedule to go to Houston and he spent a lot of time with us.
All right, that was a statement which was recorded, the statement of the Prime Minister which was recorded a little while earlier, being played out by the news agencies only now. We'll get you the complete opening statement of these two leaders later also in the broadcast. Let me now quickly go back to Surya Pratap Singh. Mr. Singh, you've heard the statements that have been made by both these leaders. There is a strong stress on trade, and of course, when it was thrown open for question answers, you saw where the mood of the nation really was. While we do want trade, we also want a very convincing position from a country which is projecting itself as a strong ally. Its position, an official position, an unequivocal position,
correct,
unambiguous position on Pakistan. Do you think that's too much to expect from America?
No, the way Prime Minister Modi is aggressively pursuing India's bilateral relations with the U.S., I mean, it shows that Prime Minister Modi is very keen to have, and similarly, President Trump would also like to reciprocate. But, right, starting from Howdy Modi program till today when they are addressing a press conference, the very first thing that Prime Minister Modi mentioned was about the trade and commerce, which is a key area between those two countries. But at the same time, India would also like US to kind of have a inclination towards India when it comes to talking to Pakistan. So it's a kind of a very difficult situation for President Trump to maintain a kind of balance where that US trade, US-India, Indo-US trade is highly skewed in favor of US. It is about like annually it's like $146 billion worth of trade between these two countries, and it is highly skewed in favor of US in the sense that India is hardly exporting like $5 billion worth of products, while the rest other part is coming from US to India. So both of them are hard taskmasters and both of them are really hard negotiators. I'm pretty sure both of them are more interested, I mean, Trump is more interested in having a good trade relations with India, because India is, and for India, it wants both the things. They want a good trade relations with US. India would like to have more investment from US because a lot of, defense equipments and those things are being imported from US. India would also like, along with the trade, a little bit of, to have, kind of a US favoring India when it comes to talking to Pakistan. And President Trump is trying to maintain a very fine balance. When he's talking to Prime Minister Imran Khan, he's talking about he's a good friend or a very good leader. At the same time, he's talking about Prime Minister
Mr. Singh,
Modi
I'll tell you where the difference is.
aggressively pursuing and talking.
I'll tell you where the difference is.
Yes.
The word I would like to mediate, I would want to mediate, all of this is often seen in the context of his conversation with Imran Khan. The mention of mediation is not there when he is meeting Prime Minister Modi. So are we to assume that this is being done because this is something that Pakistan wants? I mean, what does America want from Pakistan? Mr. Kugelman, would you like to take this one? As far as America is concerned, obviously it is in their interest to perhaps listen a little to the Pakistanis as well. They want their support if they want to get out of Afghanistan, and they would want to play to the gallery. Michael.
Yes, let me just say I agree. I think that U.S. goals with Pakistan are very narrowly focused on Afghanistan, and so long as the U.S. has troops in Afghanistan, it's going to look to Pakistan to help the United States facilitate talks with the Taliban. And I don't think that's going to change, even though the talks have been called off for now. One more point to make here, it's true that Trump seems to want to have it both ways with both India and Pakistan, in the sense that he really genuinely wants to have good relations with both countries, and particularly both leaders. He's made it quite clear that he has very strong chemistry with both Modi and Khan. However, at the end of the day, I think it's very clear that U.S. policy continues to emphasize India over Pakistan. I think that's very clear because you simply have so many more convergent interests, strategic objectives, whether you're talking about trying to push back against China or deal with the terrorism problem. And once the Trump administration passed its new Indo-Pacific strategy, which counts India or considers India to be a very close partner in that regard, I think that really accentuates just how significant a partner the U.S. views India. And with Pakistan, you know, the cooperation envisioned is much more narrowly defined. It's much more focused around Afghanistan.
Okay, Michael, I'm going to come back to you and try to understand why you said that even a watered-down deal is acceptable, because, you know, that's been playing on my mind for a while. I'll come back to you. Mr. Ahuja, would you like to respond? Would you especially as far as the dealings with Pakistan are concerned, do you think that Trump, as of this moment, is very smartly talking about mediation to keep Pakistan engaged? Perhaps, if you were, maybe help Imran Khan go back to his constituency and say that, hey, listen, he's listening to us, he's our friend. But really, in effect, he doesn't mean a thing. I mean, if he were to choose his natural ally, it'll be India. Or are we expecting too much?
Vishnu, I would actually like to comment on the trade deal also.
Sure.
Coming to your question of this Imran Khan, you have to keep in mind that no country in the world would like not a stability in Pakistan. Everybody would like to have a stable Pakistan. To the extent Donald Trump is giving lip sympathies to Pakistan, that should not be considered as Trump making any gestures against India. What Trump should say, if Imran Khan time and again is requesting President Trump that you are the most powerful person in the world and we would like you to mediate in this. Should Trump says, don't talk to me about that, just get out of here, or at least give him a sympathetic hearing? So that's one question. I personally believe, other than giving a sympathetic hearing, there's nothing beyond that on Trump's part. In fact, whenever he was talking to Trump on the issue of mediation, he kept on referring that Modi is a good friend of mine, and unless both the parties agree, I cannot just
No, but then he also said that Modi asked me to mediate. What do we believe?
That was a long time back, a couple of months back, when the first time Imran Khan met Donald Trump. Then at that time, he had made that particular statement. But in yesterday's meeting with Pakistan's President Imran Khan, Donald Trump never mentioned that Prime Minister Modi has also requested me to mediate it.
Okay.
Coming back to the trade issue,
yeah, please.
We have to keep in mind that United States' problem with respect to trade right now is with China. The trade with China, between United States and China, is approximately $700 billion. As compared to that, trade with India is very insignificant. It's about $140 billion. United States, especially Donald Trump, has to have some trading partner in that particular region. With India's reduction in corporate tax, that's another incentive. And if you go back to the Donald Trump speech in Houston, he did mention that United States will supply gas, natural gas, and energy to India. We have plenty of energy and natural gas here in the United States.
Okay, I get the point that you're trying to make.
I personally believe both the countries will end up having some respectable trade deal.
So the trade deal has to be looked at not just as something between these two countries, but also keeping China in mind. Now, Michael, quickly coming back to you as I'm running out of time, I want to understand why you said that even a watered down deal is also going to be acceptable. In what context did you say that?
Well, what I mean here is that President Trump is not a free trader in the sense that he has taken a very protectionist position in many of his positions and his messaging. And you know, when he does his campaign speeches and when he gives speeches to his supporters, you know, one of the major themes is this whole notion of, you know, we can't have American jobs taken away and so forth. So, you know, President Trump and the Trump administration have had trade tensions, not just with rivals like China, but also partners, including Japan, for example. And so it's not that surprising that there have been trade tensions with India as well. So what I mean by that a watered down deal would be acceptable or a good thing is that given how difficult or how unlikely it would be to believe that Trump and his administration would be willing to sign off on any type of substantive bilateral trade accord, I think that even if there's a deal here that's not perfect and has to keep some things out, I think that's a lot better than the alternative. And more broadly, I think that a trade deal that's watered down would still be a good thing because it would be a boost for a U.S.-India relationship, which has sputtered mainly because of the commercial tension. So that's why I think that any type of trade deal is a good one, even if it's not a perfect deal.
Okay. Michael Kugelman, Anand Ahuja, as well as Mr. Surya Pratap Singh, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. Stopping for a short break at this moment. News and updates will continue right here on NDTV. Stay with us.